Up, guys? This is Shining Otaku.
And Nico, all right, we weren't live there. So, ladies, gentlemen, guys and gals, and fellow shining lights, this is your host,
Irvin.
And Nico. And today we have another spotlight episode with another side to a very popular company here. We have Viz Media, popular manga publisher, anime distributor, part of the publishing conglomerate Hito Sabushi Group, which includes the giants Shueisha, Shogakukan, and the Showpro tag team that they form at Productions, popularly known for various animes that you know of, such as Pokemon, Inuyasha, One Piece, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Let's roll into the public side of things with Gabrielle Dyer.
Hello.
Welcome on our show. Coming on. No, we really appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm super happy to talk to you guys.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you. Before we really roll into all of it here, why don't you get us started and let us know what made you what got you interested in manga to begin with?
Well, I will say I'm 23 years old right now, and growing up, I was super lucky to grow up in the Cartoon Network age where Naruto, I grew up in that Toonami area, that whole Toonami era, and then even like when Naruto went to Disney XD.
Mm-hmm.
So I got really hooked on Naruto from that, and then that kind of just expanded my knowledge, and then from there I learned the beautiful world of illegal streaming.
Of course.
2010, and I discovered the show Full Metal Alchemist, and then from there I found out of these books called Manga, and then I saw them at Barnes and Nobles one day, bought the whole thing of Full Metal Alchemist, and then just kind of went from there. And yeah, that's kind of how I got my start. And it was super funny because I was really into Naruto back in the day. And when Naruto Shippuden was on Disney XD, they had this special website on Viz's site. And then I remember, it was also like when the character died from like whatever episode, it would like, the characters would go gray and you can like read the profiles, and I would just read the profiles all day. And then I saw this website and I was like, oh, like this is Viz or whatever. And I remember when I was 13, I used to browse their job sections, be like, you know what, I might work here one day. And then 10 years later, it actually happened.
Jeez. And it's funny how many of us kids that Toonami specifically just inspired back then. It's it's a lot of us I hear where we come from Toonami back then. All of a sudden we became more than just fans, became mega fans. And a lot of the people we have here on the spotlight that are in our general age group, or maybe even 10 years older, Toonami is just well respected all across the board. So
exactly. And right there. It's almost like a family. It's not even just like a mega fan. It's like a world. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Big family or world. You get sucked in, but it's a good sucked in, and every story is just so amazing and actually teaches you real life skills in a way. And that's what I love about it.
Oh yeah. So take us into your profession a little bit. What's the process looking like working at Viz Media?
Yeah, so the process is quite new for Viz actually, because me and the director of PR, Chantel Stewart, we're Viz's like very first PR team really. And basically our big job is letting the media know of what's going on with our lovely properties. And then along with that is there's a lot of people who kind of heard of things like Naruto, but they don't know other things like big signature titles. What's more in a manga than just Shonen Jump? What's shoujo beat? And so it's a lot of educating the media there, and then kind of getting them into this world, getting them to love it, and then having them tell their story of how much they love it.
But I thought that everything was just Pokemon. Exactly. You guys know that that one character Ash Ketchum that finds the Dragon Balls and goes around and I'm just playing, but like like everybody summarizes everything into just one thing, when they don't actually know manga and they don't know anime,
Yeah, and it's a lot of educating the media too. But something I've noticed recently that's kind of cool about it, I'm starting to meet younger journalists who grew up in that Toonami age. So when they see things like, they see things from Viz, like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, give me more. I used to love this stuff. And now they're starting to re-love these things. And I think that's a really cool thing about the job. And it's just kind of connecting with all these journalists and kind of starting to get them to love this. And then they tell their story, and even more people who, for example, maybe you read the New York Times, you're not watching, you're not streaming anime or reading manga all the time, but you're starting to read this and you're like, oh, like this is what my son is watching. Maybe I should watch it because it seems like it could also be adult too. And so it's really cool how we can kind of get the mainstream audience into our world in a way.
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm sorry, the first PR team I wasn't actually expecting, because I remember seeing the article when you mentioned Chantel when she got hired on with Viz Media, but I wasn't aware that was literally the establishment of their first team.
Well, it technically wasn't. We're like the first like PR team, and it used to be events and PR combined, because a lot of, for example, the Eisners, when those get presented at the conventions, they kind of go hand in hand with awards and PR. So events took over a lot of the PR duties, but PR is just was really needed in the company. So that's why they cut off from the events team, and now the events team just focuses on that, and now we have all of our PR initiatives in one sole team.
Okay.
But it's crazy, yeah.
No, that's interesting, actually. So now get into what I'm sure a lot of the fan base is a little more much more interested in, I should say. Some of the content creators of a lot of these series. Have you gotten a chance yourself to meet any of them?
Well, I was actually hired right before the pandemic. And usually when I meet content creators, it would have been at conventions, but there haven't been any in-person conventions for me to meet anyone. But from there, I would say I do talk to creators, but it's all through email, really. Okay.
Anyone in particular that could be made known to us, or is it more confidential?
Yeah, a little bit. I would say a little bit. I'm trying to think one that's not confident. I could say we've been working. Okay, so the manga, Viz signature manga, Blue Flag, which is being nominated for the LA Times Book Prizes Award, which is written by Kaito. We have been conversing with Kaito to give them their kind of like words of wisdom of how Blue Flag was made, and it's going to be presented at the LA Times Award. So if I ever need a quote for interviews or anything, I kind of just converse from there. And then also licensing kind of helps me make those conversations, because it's between also our licensors and the creators, and it's all in Japanese too. So it kind of gets translated back and forth a lot in email.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was actually going to ask. So, in order to basically, I guess for your daily duties in your position, do you actually need to know any Japanese? And if so, how does that process work?
I would say the requirements of my job, you don't, but I do have basic Japanese grammar skills, and that's helped a lot, because sometimes when I hear about a new property we're going to be launching in, say, the fall or whatever, I will be looking up what the Japanese media is kind of talking about, or how is this being reciprocated in Japan, by just typing, doing a Google search in Japanese. And that is just kind of basic knowledge of learning how to kind of read the katakana usually and hiragana. But and then some basic translations when I see in emails. But usually there is a translator there to fully do it for me. But I kind of like sometimes to double check.
Kanji galore. I thought it always makes it hard. Oh,
Right.
Let's see here. Now, I want to take really quickly before we continue. I know we've had some comments rolling through, so I just want to address those really fast. First comment, Jeffrey Lilly. I follow Viz from the earliest days. Sean Tucker, what's up, Sean? You know, I should say what's up to Jeff too. What's up, Jeff? What's up, Sean? I know both of them. You know, hi, Gabrielle. Jeffrey Lilly, glad to see Viz still out there and still putting stuff out. All right. Dr. Bio, that must be in reference to when you were talking about Naruto earlier. I'm a big Naruto fan myself, so. Diana, I might be pronouncing it or mispronouncing it, but Bear, I believe. Full Metal Alchemist was one of my first manga. Elite Ace with a smile, with sunglasses, trying to act cool.
That's for coming out.
All right. Jeffrey Lilly. I remember the Viz from the earliest days when everyone was trying to figure out how to market black and white stuff. Slapping on color, screen tones didn't work so well, but they learned. All right. Simon Calderon. What's up, Simon? I'm glad to see you here. Hello, everyone. Really enjoying this conversation. All right. Jeffrey Lilly, conspiracy theory, Gabrielle Dyer is actually Apollo Smile. I'm actually not even sure who Apollo Smile is, but okay.
I don't know either.
Oh my gosh. And then we got Che Baker. What's up, family? That's another, Shining Otaku, team member right there. And then Imaginos TV. What's up, Imaginos TV? Knowledge.
No, yeah, you could tell Jeff is coming off a little bit old school. Apollo Smile. I only know this because of my grandparents. That's a popular singer.
What?
Yeah, that's a old singer.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. You look her up sometime. But yeah, you do favor her. So rolling into some of the other questions here. Before I touch on that, what was it like when you how should I put this? When you found your job?
So as crazy as it sounds, when I was talking about when I was 13 and I was looking over those job posts, the way how Viz and I kind of found each other wasn't the classic, oh, I saw this on LinkedIn type of post. I was actually interning 10 floors above Viz at the time, and I was interning at Twitter. And
big time.
I actually used to be an engineer. That's a really fun fact about me. But I was an intern at the time, and I was getting my computer fixed. And this guy just started asking all these questions. And he's like, oh, like, what are your interests? And I was saying how I kind of wanted to go in the Japanese entertainment industry. He's like, oh, did you know Viz Media is right below us? And then this whole light bulb from years ago, me looking up the jobs, is like, wait, they're here? Really? Because I had no clue. I knew they're in San Francisco, but I know they're literally right in the building I've been working in.
Wow. And
the guy was saying, oh, here, I have the head of HR's card. Like, you can have it if you ever want to contact them. And so that night, I just sent a huge email just explaining who I was, my resume portfolio, if they ever had any like entry-level opportunities for me. And then they invited me over one day just to give a tour around the office. I loved everyone. And then they're like, okay, well, we don't have anything, because I said I was doing, and then I went for engineering, then I went to marketing at Twitter. It was a long story. But I said, I want to go into marketing, basically. And they're like, okay, we don't have anything open, but if something opens up, like, we'll for sure contact you so you can apply. And then right when literally 3 days after my internship ended, they called me and they're like, hey, we have this position we think you'd be a great fit for. And then I interviewed, and that was the story. And I was so happy when I found out.
No, I love that story, like, seriously, because it's like the way that it happened is like, dang, it's like you were fated.
Right. Yeah. Put that right into a story.
Fate between you and Viz.
I know, and it was crazy because I kind of I was studying computer science at the time, and I was like kind of getting sucked into the like, oh, I want to be a software engineer, work in a big tech. So I kind of thought the whole 13-year-old self, me working in the Japanese entertainment industry, that idea faded until I studied abroad in Japan. And then it kind of always was in my head, but I got this opportunity from Twitter and I was like, oh, like, I don't know. And then the whole Viz thing happened and then Twitter didn't work out. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like it ended up working out at the end of the day. And it was so cool how it happened.
Wow. From Twitter straight to Viz.
I'm just thinking, like, that's actually pretty huge. Like Twitter, like, yeah, I was working for Twitter, like the one of the biggest social media places, you know, like of all time. And then then right next to it, you're like, yeah. And then I also worked for like the biggest licensing, publishing, anime manga company in the United States, you know. And it's like, yeah, that's huge, you know. Yeah, and I'm just kind of like the publicist for it, you know. It's like you're very like humble with that. So
I'm honestly just grateful to do what I love every day. It's just so cool. We all, and obviously you guys get it too because you run the show, just talking about anime and talking in manga to other people. It's just, what's not to love, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I agree. It's fun.
Precisely. So okay, what are some difficulties, challenges with the job? Especially with this technically being the first official PR team, I'm sure you've come across probably walls of obstacles, or at least that's my perception. I know the job is a tough one.
Yeah. So I got hired in February of 2020, and then obviously a month later, San Francisco completely shut down for the pandemic. And then the good thing though about that was my boss was already remote. So I was actually the only one in PR who was working at the office. So we're kind of already had a remote relationship before then, which is really great because then there was no getting used to the whole remote thing.
Wow.
But from there, it was, when I joined, it was all about how do we tell Viz's story to these outlets who have no idea what anime and manga is. And they don't even have any idea of how big it is too. And how do we start reaching out to these people and telling them that story? And so I think that was the biggest hump. Was it took us probably about 10 months for the New York Times to talk about Junji Ito.
Oh, now I've actually seen a lot of those posts, to be honest with you. Now I'm big into Junji Ito. I'm like, I've been telling this dude for the longest, like I'm knocking down books, but like the Junji Ito, like there's like a collection out there, but I love like the Tomie book, you know. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about with Tomie.
Oh yeah, no, I do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Junji Ito comes out with, I think it's in 2 weeks, A Love Sickness. Really good. If you like Junji Ito, this one's really good.
Okay.
But
what's
anyways,
it about? What's this one? What's that one about? Like the one that next one he's coming out with?
It's kind of this mystery love, I would say, type of love story, and it's about basically this haunted figure that kind of like murders people who are in love.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
It's very spooky. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest horror person, and some of the Junji Ito stuff is a little bit too much for me. But this one is a good amount. It's not too scary, and it's not too unscary, in my opinion. It's a good amount. It's right in the middle for Junji Ito.
No, yeah, it definitely sounds like his style. It sounds like he's playing like a reverse role of a Cupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's interesting.
But back to your question about challenges was, yes, getting the media to talk to us. And I would say we're still even working on that with some people. And but we still made a ton of progress. But that has definitely been by far the biggest challenge. And also getting to know everyone internally, because we were the first like separate PR team. So just kind of because people never added our functions into their work. So we kind of like, okay, like we need to talk to you during this time, and kind of getting on people's schedules as well. Inside of the company was a big thing too.
Okay. Considering what we know about generally what I've learned about publicists and like magazine industries and whatnot is that it tends to be one of the more stressful positions out there. In your case, and I know you're highly talented from what I heard from Chantel herself. You know, you're like the right-hand woman, but how do you handle that stress? You know, if we were if I was to use you to reach out to other publicists out there, how do you handle it?
Organization.
Organization.
What I like to do, so usually I will get deadlines, and I actually make myself always finish that deadline 3 days in advance. So if anything goes wrong or something doesn't happen the way I want it to happen, I can fix that in that time. And I think that's by far the most helpful thing, is just being organized, being on top of all the titles you're working on. And that's kind of how I deal with the stress. And sometimes with PR, things will be running down the pipeline and then they just stop and they just don't even happen. And you just kind of have to accept it and just like, okay, like move on. Sometimes you might not get the best publicity for one title, but you just like, okay, how can I strengthen my pitches, or how can we talk more of the next upcoming story? And then you just kind of have to learn and move on, in my opinion. You always have to be fast and adaptive when dealing with stress.
Fair enough. Any situations where you had to run into let's say you had to run into dealing with something same day?
I'm pretty good at doing this strategy that I came up with. There have been times where I've been super excited for a story to come out, and like the day of it, it wasn't going to happen. Like the editor just didn't have any time or anything. And those you just kind of have to, like I said, learn and move on, or just kind of live with it. And then there have been times where sometimes I'll give people samples, but those samples can't be on the internet because they're not approved by our licensors. And one time, like, someone posted these pictures of these samples and it would have like the watermarks and everything. It's like, no, like this is not supposed to happen. Like, please do not. Like, I was like, here are the images you're supposed to, you can post, not these. And those are very stressful, because one time it was like a super high end, like a very top outlet that did that. And I was like, I don't want anyone to see this right now. Like, please, no one sees this. And those are stressful. And then also you just send a little prayer that they're going to see their email ASAP, which they did, but.
Oh my gosh. You know, like somebody puts up like the newest, image of like, I don't know, Dragon Ball Super or something before it was even supposed to be out there. You already know people are going to be like with their hands on their keyboards and everything. Like, yeah, I'm taking that. I'm going to go ahead and
what I've learned from that is just be extremely specific. You just have to be like, even if like you don't think of it because you're always working on this, you just always have to be super specific of all the guidelines when it comes to writing an article and talking about our content.
That's a great tip all around. And definitely enjoyed your slight flex there earlier. You know, with how well you do your deadlines. So I
was one of those kids who always did their homework early. I was that nerd, so I just kind of applied it to my job.
Fair deal. Before we move on, might as well roll into the next wheel of comments here.
All right, CLLD. Looks like there's like some smiley faces with stars. Then we have Alec Wyndham. I'm going to say ouch for Jeff and retirement home audience. Jeffrey Lilly. Oh, Alec, you got me. Dang you, Wyndham. All right. I just realized the Apollo smile was like 20 years ago. I'm going to cry now.
Yep. Get out.
It's worth noting that everybody on screen is well under 30. They are present in the future. Let's see here. But the credit is to Shining Otaku for having a diverse audience age-wise.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Let's see here. Megan, I might be mispronouncing the name. I apologize.
That's one of my friends.
You said, how do you pronounce it?
Thank you for coming out.
That's one of my friends.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you so much for coming, Megan. All right. So those are all the comments up to date right now. Now, I guess this is a good point to kind of do our segue to our halfway point. Let's see here. If you guys are new to Shining Otaku, definitely go ahead and make sure you subscribe to our content. We do interviews every 2 weeks or so. So this is the halfway point of the season. You're Gabrielle. You're like our midway season guest. So I do appreciate you coming on today. So this is just the halfway point of this interview. But let's see here. I apologize. I need to work on my organization. All right. Definitely, if you're not familiar with this, you need to check out the Honeycomb Hideout. The Honeycomb Hideout is a podcast that centers on basically talking about comics, real deep topics in the comics industry, films, you name it. If you're someone who loves listening to podcasts, I recommend this podcast highly. They're allied with us, of course. We're kind of like one unit. So I definitely think you guys should go ahead and check them out. There's going to be a link down below in the comment section, or should be in the comment section or description. It's going to be for Spotify. Also, make sure you like this video if you want this video to blow up, and give Gabrielle the shine that she definitely deserves. So go ahead and hit that like button and then share this video around if you can. Now let me go ahead. All right, now we can go ahead and resume.
Thank you very much. So, all right. So Gabrielle, the Viz Media, technically, as a whole, it's not just Viz Media. There's actually multiple imprints, such as Viz Originals, to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Viz Originals, Viz Select, Studio Ghibli, Library. But even though they exist, how do you go about letting the target audience for, let's say, Viz Signature? How do you go about letting them know what roster is available to them?
Well, what I do is I have basically I like to get to know all my media contacts. So really on a spiritual level, I always like to know what they like. And then from there, it depends on every scenario. There's some people who only know Shonen Jump because that's what they grew up with.
Right.
And so I'll kind of help them start to expand their manga knowledge and be like, okay, yes, you love Naruto, you love Bleach. Maybe you should also check out this new manga called Zom 100. And it's great because it's even and it's kind of more directed towards your age group. It's kind of knowing the person and knowing what they like. That's kind of how I get over that hump. And just, for example, I'm not someone who's super, super hardcore Shonen Jump. I'm not really going to give them the new Shoujo Beat or the new Frozen 2 manga because I know they're not gonna want it.
I didn't even know that Frozen had a manga. But
yes, Frozen 2, the manga came out in February, and it's pretty good. It's very cute. It's a great gift for kids.
No, I shouldn't be too surprised though, because I think about it even when I think of Japan. I feel like Japan and Disney go hand in hand almost. There's such a love for Disney over there. But. Yeah,
and the artist for Frozen 2, Ariana Tanemura, she's a big artist she's kind of big shoujo artist in Japan. So it was cool, this crossover between Disney and Japan. It was a really cool collaboration. Highly recommend to check out.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember when I was going through the Viz Media's website. I mean, generally I go there to read all my One Piece, right? But I was when I was taking a deeper look at it, I noticed all of these different imprints, and I was like, wait, I didn't know there was even a signature section. This guy, all the nice thinking type of mangas I like. And granted, I knew these titles existed generally in your roster. I didn't know they were labeled under this imprint.
Yeah, and Signature is a great imprint too because it does have those thinking Junji Ito type titles, but a lot where the adult like Shonen Jump content lies. For example, Hell's Paradise as well with Zom 100. So highly recommend checking all those that imprint out. If you're kind of on the mid 20s to 30s range, it's great for that.
No, great. I back that. I love those titles. The so rolling from that, how close does Viz basically work with Japanese publishers of manga for American release, if that makes sense?
Very, very, very close. So obviously I don't know exactly how the editor's relationship with the licensors are, but I bet it's super duper close. But for me personally, anytime, say for example, you're reading on comicbook.com and they have all arts of the new panel, I'm the person that actually has to get that art and then get that approved from our licensors. And that's always constantly talking to our licensors, or even working with content creators. For example, we actually were working with the Demon Slayer team in Japan for the Time. I don't know if you guys know this, but
the movie
Gotoge got nominated for the Time 100 list.
Yeah, I did hear. I see that. I did.
Yeah,
actually.
So that was really, really fun for us, and that whole time was basically a big conversation between us, the Shonen Jump team, and the licensors, and it's all about getting those quotes and comments like perfectly translated and ready to go. So that's kind of what I do. I'm a very middleman type of situation between the licensors and the media for getting what they need and want.
Nice. Now, I actually have a question for you. So I know, of course, you know some Japanese, and you've had a chance to actually spend some time over in Japan before. Like, what was that experience like?
That was really cool because I studied abroad. It was a summer program. It was just about a month and a half. I went to Doshisha University, and it was nice because I was a little bit hesitant going to a foreign. I didn't know any Japanese at all. I watched some anime, so I like picked up some words, but didn't really know enough to get around. And it was cool because I went to the University of Arizona, and the program was you traveled with the Japanese teachers at Arizona, and you studied at Doshisha along with other Arizona students. And we kind of did a buddy system with Doshisha where we met the students there, and we all kind of interacted. It was just this basically collaboration of study abroad experience. And
so when you say you traveled, it's basically like you guys went from like city to city with them, or like in Japan, or
we didn't do. We did sometimes. I was given a buddy, and then she would take me around. And I also met friends along the way that just weren't at Doshisha, and they took me to Tokyo on a weekend, and that was super fun. And my buddy did take me to Nara, and that was really cool as well. And but we also did separate trips because the program was I didn't have any language. I didn't do any of the language yet, so I could only take culture classes. So I studied Japanese anime there, actually, which is crazy. And I went to I can't remember what the park's name is. It's not the Toei Animation building. It's not the headquarters, but it's a tourist attraction there. And we got to see like all the original drawings of Digimon. And
you're saying, and that was in Tokyo?
No, this was this is by Kyoto.
Kyoto, okay. Not even. I know there's isn't there like a manga library in Kyoto, like the biggest like manga library, if I'm not mistaken, in Kyoto? But I'm not sure.
There is. We did. Oh no, we didn't go to that. It was closed the one day we went, so we couldn't go. But we saw the outside of it.
No, I understand. Trust me, I get it. I didn't get a chance to see it either.
But we did. There was an exercise where we went to the manga bookstores, and we got to look through all the panels, and we had to talk about like something that was kind of eye-opening to us, and that was really cool because that was the first time I've ever experienced like Japanese manga. And when I went to Viz, it's like, oh, I know what that is. But other than that, yeah, that's kind of the experience I've had.
So that's the next experience, actually. Who are your influences?
My influences, I feel like, kind of are across the board. It's like my biggest influences is obviously my director because she's so renowned and amazing, and she just produces the best content for us ever. And I just kind of want to be like her. Her name is Chantel Stewart. And other than that, my boss's boss, Brad Woods, he's our CMO. He has just been such a great influence for me, and it was really cool because we went to the same college, and so I kind of want to follow in his footsteps a little bit, and they're my definitely my biggest influences. But people I don't know are the creators of Toonami. So Jason DeMarco, I watched this panel with him, and I just thought their story is so cool and how they brought this content to the American market and just made it blow up into this big pop culture moment. And that just fascinates me.
Oh my gosh, Toonami! Like, I feel like a lot of times, like when it comes to like our generation, like I hear like some of the the older generation, and I'm kind of not taking shots, but I'm kind of saying something to like Jeff and some of our other members within like Imaginos. I'm like, I know they like always talk about the old days. You guys don't get it, and it's like, yeah, but for us, like our generation, like the Toonami era, like it has like that magical feeling to it a little bit.
It really does.
Like,
I just think TV across the board was just amazing. Like even Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, cartoon, they were just killing it during that time. And I've watched some of those shows now, and I just feel like we're not seeing what we used to see. Like even Nickelodeon, we had Avatar,
Right.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm like, I heard that they're actually trying to continue that in some way, shape, or form.
I heard that too. Yeah, on Netflix, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that is true. I think I don't know what they're going to do with that. I mean, because I think they're going to try to do something with like Aang, but I'm like, well, if you want to tell some more, you can go ahead and do that. But let's see here. Looks like we have a few more questions that have rolled in. Alec Wyndham, are classic anime like Ranma Half and Pat Labor still popular?
Ranma 1/2 for sure, because I still get requests to review it, and we're always out of it. So it's definitely still popular. Pat Labor, I've actually never heard of. Is that a Rumiko Takahashi too?
I'm assuming so. I don't know. That might require a quick search to see. Let's see.
I know well, we can answer that too. I know, Alec, you made that an open question there. Because Pat Labor I know the director for it. I can't remember the creator, because the director was Mamoru Oshii for the movie. But just to answer your question, from my experience, it's not as popular nowadays. That was
a lot
like
of Rumiko Takahashi titles are starting to get interest because we've been releasing the collector's edition of we just released the collector's edition of Mermaid Saga in November 2020, and then Mason Toku in September 2020. So we've been since then. I've definitely been getting Ranma 1/2 requests.
Yeah, I definitely know that Ranma, 1/2. Like, I mean, that definitely has to have some kind of popularity, because I'm like, I at least know that. I didn't know.
That's like Masami Yuki did Pat Labor.
Let's see here. Okay, love the Honeycomb Hideout. Thank you so much. All right, the breakfast cereal is also a classic. I'm not familiar with that manga personally. I don't know if anybody else is. No, I'm not. Alec Wyndham rolling in with the old school. These are good though. This is good. Let's see here. All right, Jeffrey Lilly. Yes, I'm old, but I still have all my Rumiko Takahashi stuff published by Viz. Okay, I'm gonna lay off of you, Jeff. I feel like I've kind of been like blasting Jeff on this stream today. I apologize, Jeff. Okay.
Way to go.
All right, Alec Wyndham. I have a question for Gabrielle. I have heard and read that Viz is committed to expanding the anime and manga genre to new markets. I think she kind of answered that earlier a bit.
Let's continue.
Yeah. What can be done to further advance the small but growing audience in a country like India, conservative culture and perception that anime and manga is strictly for children seem to be the major issues.
It looks like there's more to the question.
Is there? Oh. Obviously, Viz isn't meant to solve that problem, but just curious if those conversations happen behind the scenes, the potential young, hungry audience of many millions.
Personally, I don't really work in that sphere when it comes to sales and distribution rights, so I don't really know what's happening there. And we don't, Viz as a company, we have no distribution rights in India, so it might be someone else could be publishing it there, but I have no knowledge of that.
No, that sounds like something the Hito Subashi group might be looking into, because we did do an episode. I definitely encourage you guys to go ahead and check it out. But we did an episode, Manga Beyond Manga, kind of touching on a lot of the manga highlights in India. It's a market that's not as touched on. It's just kind of getting involved. It's kind of in the earlier process that the U.S. was in probably like 12 or 15 years ago. But definitely encourage you to check out that episode if you want to see more on that.
Yeah, we'll link that down below in just a moment here. Let's see here. Avatar Forever, Avatar Studios Now. All right. I get it, Jeff. I was introduced to anime by my great cousin with Astro Boy. Oh my gosh, yeah, I gotta rep Astro Boy. I love Astro Boy. That's like the OG of like all of it. Original creator split from Nickelodeon because of creative differences. Oh yeah, that's for Avatar. Yeah,
my friend Megan is actually the biggest Avatar nerd ever, and I appreciate her for saying all these comments. I love it.
Really now, okay.
I love Pat Lauber. Thanks, Sean. All right, I think looks like we have a couple more. Breakfast cereal is not an anime; it's a food. Breakfast cereal, it's okay. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Hey, now sometimes you don't even know. Like sometimes there's so many crazy anime titles. Where you're
don't even. Did you? I don't know if you guys saw this, but Viz did on April Fool's Day did a prank for new titles, and it was like Papa Penguin and the Shonen Jump cleaning.
I didn't see it.
Oh, it's on their social media. The social media team didn't tell me.
Mm-hmm.
So I see these on Twitter, and I'm like, how did I not know about these? And then we have a database where it kind of tells us all the information about these mangas and when they're coming out. And I was like, okay, I need to start making the plans for these if they said they're coming out in the fall. And I just was on this database for a good 10 minutes. Just like, why aren't these on here? And then I was like, I was talking to my boss, like, I can't find these on here for some reason. Like, why didn't social media tell us this was happening? Like, she's like, it was a prank. And I was like, no.
They caught you up in that. Oh my gosh. I know whoever was doing that was just like, I win.
They won. I told them, I was like, social media, you guys got me good.
All right, Q for Gabrielle. Okay. How do you continue to learn Japanese outside the office?
Well, it was really cool in the office. When the month I was there, we had a kind of a lunchtime once a week where you can talk to people who are fluent Japanese speakers and they can help you with your grammar and common points. But if you are a resident of San Francisco, you can become a part, or in Northern California, you can become a part of the Japan Society of Northern California. And then from there, you can take online. Right now it's online, but they used to do in-person classes. And I just wouldn't do that. Take those from there. It's about once a week for 2 hours, just touching up on your skills.
All right, and I'm going to do these next two, and then we'll go ahead and resume back. Okay, thank you for fielding the question. Thank you for the heads up. All right, now let's get back.
All right, right back to it. So, this might be a bit redundant. I know you touched on it a bit earlier, but how's the pandemic affected you more specifically?
The pandemic's affected me a lot. I'm so happy because I'm a May 2020 grad, but when I started my senior year, I just decided to graduate early and move to San Francisco. So I was extremely lucky I did that, because I don't know where I would, obviously jobs for an entry level would have been so hard during that time. And, but I didn't get to actually I was going to graduate and walk in May, and I didn't get to do that. So I did miss my college graduation.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm just glad I have a roof over my head, really. But other than that, I did move home. I left my apartment because my roommate didn't want to live in San Francisco anymore. And then I moved back home for 5 months. And then I moved back to the city when it was starting to become a little bit more safer, and kind of everyone knew what was actually happening this pandemic and how to deal with it. And then just continuing. I have been remote almost every day since the pandemic has started. And we are allowed in the office, just very, very little people. So when I go in, I'm actually the only person in there. And it's very, very scary, because I feel like, because the lights are dark when you walk in. I didn't know, I was also new, because I also don't know where the lights are, like where to turn on everything. And then one time I was in the office and it's completely dark, and I was like, I don't know why. I feel like some Junji Ito character.
I was just about to reference that. Junji. Oh my gosh.
I feel like the Junji Ito character is just going to come in, and while I'm sending out review copies, someone's going to tag me and stab me to death and take all my manga and leave.
Oh my gosh, I could just see that being like a short, that you guys just do, and
Could be.
Oh my gosh.
But it's been a lot of change, I will say. Change, positive, negative, but at the end of the day, I still think the positives have outweighed the negative, and I'm forever, forever thankful for that. And I'm so happy that me and everyone I've been around has been healthy, and I hope it's all been the same for you guys too. We all just kind of have to stick out together.
Right. It's been a trying period, but it's great to see us all still here healthy, and heck, a lot of us still with work.
Yeah,
we're unfortunate in that case.
Yeah, because something that was a big challenge too at the start of the job was a lot of people in the media were getting furloughed. So sometimes you're talking to some people and some stories were going to happen, and then last minute you find out they just don't happen because they just got furloughed and there's nothing you can do about it. So that was definitely a little bit of a challenging part at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah. That's one of those things. It's like what? It happened.
I know. And I feel like people are starting to, it definitely seems like the media is starting to grow and grow more, because I've definitely seen more and more new journalists come in. So it does make me a little happy that things are starting to get back to normal there.
You got some backup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is a period where a lot of unorthodox tactics / new innovative things are actually getting a lot of highlights.
So what is your favorite manga?
Ooh, favorite manga is hard. Okay, it's between two, right? The thing is, it changes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I always have one anime show that has like a special place in my heart and it'll never leave. But like for manga, kind of switches and swaps a lot. But I would say it's a tie between Blue Flag and Chainsaw Man.
Blue Flag and Chainsaw Man. I've actually seen you guys posting a Chainsaw Man.
So good. It's so good. I love Fuchita. So good. I love Denji. It's so good. I highly recommend it. Can't recommend it enough. Oh, also there's this, it hasn't been published in print yet, but I love reading the chapters on Shonen Jump, Kaiju number 8. I just started reading that. That's really good too.
Is it Kaiju number 8?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm always noting stuff down, like, because I'm thinking like, hey, that's another series I can get into.
It's huge in Japan, like real, like top of the line, top 5 manga probably there. So it's really big there. And when it's gonna hit like the US imprint, I have a feeling everyone's gonna love it.
I just have to say, I think this is like way off topic. I really appreciate these perfect editions, or I think that's what they're called, the perfect edition of 20th Century Boys you guys have been putting out. You know, I've been picking, I never got like the original copies, but I've been like, you know what, I only want to get this in print. I've been
I believe, okay, I'm pretty sure 21st edition volume 1 comes out in July. So you can be on the watch for that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be on the watch for that.
So a lot of the fan favorite stuff aside here, there is one I want one story you guys got out that I want to kind of highlight here and kind of ask questions about, because this one I wasn't really aware of it until I just happened to notice it when I was looking at your imprints, and I look more and more into it. I'm like, well, I'll be darned. It's one of your it's your first title in Viz Originals, Fangirl. So from what I understand, the this title was kind of introduced back early 2019, and it is, you know, from what I know, it is the first original graphic novel that Viz has put out. So the question is, can you tell us anything about what the process was looking like when kind of introducing this how should I put it, this new imprint, for one, because Viz Originals itself is something new that Viz has put out. Is there anything you could tell us about what was it like basically coming into this new imprint and generating the hype for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I wasn't at the company in 2019, but from what I know, it was introduced at Comic-Con San Diego 2019, and then from there, we have a Viz Originals publishing team, and it kind of sparked this new imprint where we bring in this amazing content of Japanese creators, and now it's our turn to help bring American stories to life that in the graphic novel world. And so basically they've been traveling through different cons and events to meet up with creators to submit pitches. And from there, the whole fangirl marketing campaign kicked off right when the pandemic started, I would say. And from the PR side, that was actually pretty difficult to deal with, because the people who wanted to talk about fangirl most of them got furloughed, as I was talking about in my previous question. But I think fangirl is an amazing story because it kind of brought out this perfect young adult teen girl fiction that Viz just doesn't really ever put out. And it definitely did bring in a whole new audience, because it comes from the Rainbow Rowell original novel Fangirl. And it also helped introduce all these young girls who are really into this type of content into Viz titles. And I think it really did a good job at helping girls introduce themselves to Shoujo Beat, really.
Yeah, because I know I checking it out a bit. I was like, wow, yeah, Rainbow Rowell did a really good job of highlighting that kind of the kind of life your general young lady will go through, and I thought it was great for the audience. Yeah,
and then we have 2 new Viz Originals coming out this summer, actually. In June we have World Peace, which is, I would say, it's definitely more of a kind of like it's definitely more in the shonen manga matchup, I would say. And then Devil's Candy, which is based off of the super famous webcomic that comes out in July. And I know the Viz publishing team has been working super hard with meeting up with all these different content creators and figuring out what stories to put out right now.
Nice, nice. Now we're getting a little bit closer to the end here, so I want to go through a few more of these comments that have coming through, and then we can get to our last few questions. Nas Jackson, Digimon and Digimon Frontier has always had a place in my heart. Loved growing it up, watching it as a kid. Thank you so much for that.
I'm a big Digimon. I'm a Digimon Tamers person, but I love Frontier and Digimon.
I always say that the first season to me has always been like is my favorite for whatever reason. I just love that season. Like with the original.
Classic. I saw the film recently. The last film. I cried.
I haven't seen that yet. I've seen Try.
What?
I've seen all the Try movies, but I haven't seen like the most recent one. I think that they put out. I think.
Oh my! It's like the last hurrah or whatever. Oh my gosh! And I cried my eyes out. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I know where you're coming from with Digimon. I'm like, everybody's like, oh, you have to only pick one. It's like, no, you can love both. Digimon and Pokemon.
You can. And Digimon, their character design is pretty hard. Like, it is just, their stuff is so complex, kind of sometimes more than Pokemon, even though don't get me wrong, I love Pokemon as much as Digimon, but Digimon can have some really, really awesome characters.
Oh yeah, I think the thing is that I'd argue Digimon has better, there's a better show, but Pokemon, I think the games are better.
Yeah. And then also I would say there's a spectrum, and I always say you're a Pokemon person and then you're like a Yu-Gi-Oh person. And then I feel like Digimon's a little bit right in that middle spot.
I can actually see that. I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, I could see it, especially with a lot of the designs. All right, awesome. Thank you for the link. Oh yeah, I posted the Manga Beyond Manga India for those that were interested down in the comment section. All right, Zelda X499. I have a question. I noticed Viz put out a Shueisha statement when fake copyrights happened on Twitter. She might not be able to answer, but does Shueisha put messaging using Viz's accounts only?
No. So that happened in January, I believe. I actually wasn't a part of any of what was happening there, working on it. But I do know usually statements do come from us, but because it was a Shueisha situation, that's why Shueisha addressed what was going on there. It just really had nothing to do with us, and Shueisha wanted to get it out to the American audience to tell them their statement.
Nice, thank you for answering that. All right, Imaginos TV. Viz has a long history. I can remember the publishing and fully black and white issue of Fighter Pilot manga Gray Black or back in 1992 on newsprint. Good to see them still moving that needle. I love Viz Media. I can't wait to purchase my next volumes of Persona 5, Volume 3 and 5, or 3 through 5. Yeah, I'm we like Persona here. Even though it's weird for me to say I like Persona, considering I've never played the games. I know people are like, what? It's but I love the music. I love the music from Persona.
Hey, I came in the company and I thought Persona 5 was an app, so I'm probably worse than you.
Both of you get out.
I get stuck for that. But it's a good song. I do like it.
Like the song. All right. Thank you guys so much for reading my comment. Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming today, Nas Jackson. I really appreciate it. All right. All right. Yes, I've seen that Digimon Try movie. It's so awesome. All right. And then Pokemon versus Digimon, Marvel versus DC, Coke versus Pepsi. Yeah, I guess
it would be like that sometimes.
You can't like both. I feel like this is a situation where you like both.
Yeah, you can like Marvel and DC too. I don't know. I think there are people who always have that. It's like you can like.
Are there people that like Coke and Pepsi? I feel like there's always a.
That's the divide right there. I don't really mess with that.
I don't think we can equate these to the Coke versus Pepsi thing.
Okay, all right. And then there's one more that just came through. Imaginos TV somehow has an older audience than Fox News. Maybe it's just the poster. Okay. All right.
All right. So we're going to roll with some of our traditional ending questions here. First off, I know this may sound a bit weird, but do you have any rivals? Anybody you have any rivalry competition within your industry?
Or even that somebody who challenges you?
I don't have that Gary yet. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man. I swear, we need to like have Gary just like we should have just had Gary pop up on the screen, like like saying Gary stuff. But
thing is, I'm still really I'm really young, and this is my first time ever being in the anime industry, so I'm very fresh into it, and I haven't, and because I haven't been to cons yet, I haven't met anyone to even develop any rivals. But I have, the really cool thing about my job is I've met a ton of editors who I know and love. They've been great to work with, and I do know a few who actually work now for a few of our publishing competitors. But it's never a rival or anything. Like, I definitely wish them the best, and like I actually think it's cool that I know people who work at, like, say, Yen Press or Kandasha, and I actually worked with them before. So no rivals really, just all happy.
So, like, for any of our listeners, like people who are like interested or like, I want to know how to be able to, do like even like something similar to what you do. What would you recommend if, let's say, they're coming fresh out of school, just like you did?
Portfolio. I think showing skills is the number one thing, especially it depends for every job. Like, I bet it's way different if you're trying to go into accounting in the anime industry. I couldn't help you out there, but for me, I wanted to go into the marketing industry within anime, and that was my biggest asset. Was I had a full portfolio, and that was internships. But before you get the internships, you have to show what you do before you get the internship, which I think is dumb. And a lot of that is just talking to people who maybe have a product or something and be like, hey, can I just work on this for free? And then just building that portfolio is, I say, the number one thing. It's just working outside the classroom. I think it's going to be everyone's biggest asset.
Nice. Okay. And then let's see here. Actually, we did have one more. I thought we had a question roll in. I don't know. Take it away.
Very well. So, the money question here, Gabrielle. What is your ultimatum, aka your end game?
Your end game.
It's okay. I want to be Hokage, but for an anime company, really. I just really, my end game is to be an executive, and then I would love to teach a Japanese pop culture class at a university on the side. That's like really the dream, and then maybe publish a children's book too. But those are like, if I have those three, and then also have a few animals in my lifetime, but like I have those four, you can take me. I'm ready. So.
But do you have any pets now?
I don't. I have a dog back at home, and actually, I technically have a pet, but I lease a horse. I'm a horse rider.
Oh, that's actually interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I ride horses, and I technically own a horse for 2 days a week, but yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've never even like got on a horse before. I've always been kind of like scared of like the idea of doing it. Like, what if you fall off?
They are the friendliest creatures ever, and you just gotta see them as big, loving dogs.
Interesting. Yeah, I love animals. So, well, let's see here. Actually, there is one question that just rolled in. We can try to end it on this real quick. Looks like from My Geek Scene. What's up, man? How you feeling? Do you know if Viz is going to bring its signature manga series over to its subscription service like it does with the Shonen Jump series?
Okay, so I know some series are some signature series are actually already on the Shonen Jump platform. So you can read Blue Flag, and I'm pretty sure you can read Hell's Paradise, which are signature series on the Shonen Jump platform, because they come from the Shonen. I believe it's because they come from the Shonen Jump magazine. So there already are signature series available there. And as for the rest of them, to be determined, really.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, guys, I can't even talk. Anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody for coming out today. Now, before we go, we're gonna make sure we put down Gabrielle's like handles to her social media, so you can follow her, on social media down below. But actually, just while we do that, Did you want to go ahead and say your social media or say anything that you want to say to close out, Gabrielle, about yourself or anything you have planned coming up?
Hey, you know what? I've always loved anime, but I've honestly never really been in the community until recently, until I really got this job. So yeah, follow me if you ever just want to talk about anime, or I'm a big recommendation giver of manga. So if you ever just need recommendations, DMs are open. Or if you have any questions about how to get into the anime industry, especially as an entry-level person, I'm happy to help any way I can, because we just got to stick together, really.
Okay, and both of those are linked down below for you guys to be able to see. Without further ado, this was the halfway point of season 3, right? We're on season 3? Yeah, we're on season 3. Well, this is the halfway point of season 3. So, of course, we have 6 more episodes in the season. If you have any particular guests you guys really want to see, we still do have a couple spots open. So let us know. Just shoot us a message. We'll see if we can get that guest on. Without further ado, we want to thank Gabrielle once again for joining us today, enlightening us, giving us your knowledge on everything Viz related and, manga related. I feel like we learned a lot today. And then also, I want to say, make sure that you subscribe to our channel to not only follow those videos, but follow any other manga related content we have on the channel. We upload, every other week. So you should be able to follow anything on there and like this video to spread the news. Anyway, guys, we'll catch you guys later and see you later.
Catch y'all later.
Bye.